What's up, everybody? Seth Hagen here, Daniel Vest there. Welcome to On the Sidelines for another rousing edition here in the, I would say the cold November month, but it's really not that bad. Can still roll out of there in flip-flops and a pair of shorts. Pretty cool. But hey, Daniel.
Hi.
Here again, subbing in for the coach, Hunter Price. Hunter will be back with us momentarily. Or like weeks.
He's on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, something like that. He's got games to coach, so
He's
we don't
coaching those
fault
little
him
kids,
for that.
man.
And so, good luck to him and the Thompson Warriors. But we are here to talk about college football, and college football experienced something of a mild seizure this past week. Three of the top four teams falling off for the first time in my lifetime, personally. I think the last time this happened was 1985 in October, so it has actually never happened in my lifetime. I was born in '86, and now it just seems like bedlam is ensuing, and we don't really know how to make sense of it, but we're going to try to do it right here. This is our first chance to really get our reactions in during the college football week, so make sure you guys hit the studio lines and get out your frustrations as well, because does the Iron Bowl mean anything? Who's in on this college football playoff? We know that Alabama is, but literally everybody else is up in the air. So make sure you hit up those phone lines, 888-242-8517. Now, Alabama crushed Mississippi State's entire soul. 1 week after stealing the soul from Texas A&M. Now Texas A&M firmly out. Really no other SEC team left in sight but number one Alabama. And they put a hurting on the Bulldogs. What can you say? It's just, it hasn't really been their year. And if they're not playing a really horrible defense, you see what happens. And boy, it got ugly, and it got ugly quickly. Jalen Hurts passing all over him, throwing all over him, throws for 347 career high. Also another 100 yards on the ground, just on 11 carries. I mean, just a complete dominant performance, and he's really coming into his own. Nick Fitzgerald was stifled, to say the least, 145 yards, just 10 completions the entire game. Obviously did not throw a touchdown at all. And, I mean, if you're looking at the college football playoff, do you take Alabama or do you take the field? Because it just seems like this is a one-horse race already. I mean, I know it's not. Something will change. Please believe me, something else will change. It's just never that simple, especially with a couple of weeks to go in the season, and of course rivalry week in just a few days. But yeah. What would you take? Would you take Alabama or would you take the field? Because I'm taking the Tide right now.
Right now, I have to take Alabama. I mean, that's the only. I mean, if you're placing bets, that's the only sane pick, I would say. Yeah. I mean, they're the only undefeated team left. You just have to take Alabama. I mean, and what's crazy about it is that they are running this thing with a freshman quarterback, true freshman quarterback.
And he continues to get better.
Game. But, you know, it's been said before, and it carries some merit. When is this quarterback going to get hit really hard? You know, because, I don't know, he's taking some shots. But, I mean, you just
had a couple of turnovers, but it never seems to matter.
You're just waiting on him to
right.
You're just waiting on him to make a big mistake that would cost the game, and they haven't done it. Of course, you know, Alabama and Saban have always been known as game managers with their quarterback, and I think that's part of the reason why this quarterback can run so well in this system is that you don't have to, you know, go all out. You're not the whole thing.
And they've also stockpiled an incredible amount of offensive linemen to protect his game managers. Well, now you don't really have that kind of guy, and so Jalen Hurts is just darting in and out of these offensive linemen, and they're keeping him safe, and no one can catch him. And now The one team that had a defensive line capable of catching him is no longer playing for the SEC West. The Iron Bowl always means something, but at least statistically and for purposes of the future of the SEC and the SEC West, it does not matter. Regardless of the outcome, Alabama will go to Atlanta here in a few weeks. So you're just playing for pride at this point. And if you're Alabama, you're playing for that perfect season, really that perfect season 3 years ago that Auburn ruined. So I'm sure that is still on their minds. And, boy, if Auburn can't trot a healthy Sean White out there in a couple of weeks and Bryant Denny, I mean, they're a one-trick pony. And I don't think they can score even the 13 points
there's
they scored last year.
There's a couple headlines right there. I mean, one for as far as in a couple weeks, there was this cryptic post by Woody Barrett for Auburn over the weekend, and he said something to the effect of preparation and my time is right, or something along that nature, and it conjured up thoughts of what Ole Miss did with Shea Patterson and stripping that red shirt and letting him play. But they quickly rebuked that, and they said that's not going to happen. He is still going to keep his red shirt.
Of course.
I don't see anything wrong with that. And you want to keep that red shirt as much as possible.
Yeah.
And you're not.
At this point, what does Auburn have to gain?
I mean,
really
you could say the same thing for Ole Miss.
Lock it down and try to get 9 wins on the season, man.
And you could say the same for Ole Miss, but this is a little different situation, I think.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to have at least one more year of Sean White after this.
Possibly.
He's going to be a redshirt junior at the end of next year.
Unless Woody Barrett overtakes Sean.
And I feel like it's just a matter of time.
Woody Barrett is a competent backup, and Sean gets hurt as he's done this year and last year.
Yeah. Well,
and he gets to play.
Yeah. Well, while we're on the subject of Auburn, obviously lost over the weekend to Georgia. We were actually there to witness it. We were high in the rafters of Sanford Stadium. Not really the rafters.
On top of the roof.
We were on top of the roof, the press box. It was fun up there. Very cold, though. The wind did not let up the entire night. And neither did the defenses of either one of those teams. I mean, they totally stepped up, only allowed 13 points total for both teams combined offensively, just a pick six being the difference there. And Sean White didn't look like himself at all. And then after the game, we find out, he hasn't thrown to his receivers in 2 weeks. Word? Gus? Really? Like, that wasn't pertinent information? I mean, when you're running this kid out there. And I mean, it's so ironic that it was against Georgia because that was the other game last year where he tried to run him out there again. And what happened? Got hurt again. And he had to start Jeremy Johnson for the Iron Bowl. It's like we've been here before, haven't we? We've walked right down the same road. And, I mean, this was just a really awful game overall. But the defenses played their hearts out. Montravius Adams had his best game of the year. Carl Lawson with 3 tackles for loss. Lawson now, I believe, has 10 sacks on the year and within a sack and a half or a sack or 2 sacks of the career, not the career, but the single season sack record in Auburn history. And it's great to see them go out like this, but man, that's got to be a tough pill to swallow for Auburn fans because boy, they were there just so many times, and I don't know. Again, you always have to split blame here because it's never just one person's fault. I'm putting it like this: if Gus Malzahn, at some point in those 5 consecutive 3-and-outs that followed the pick 6 that started the half for Auburn, if not once you think to yourself, maybe I should trot John Franklin out there, maybe, possibly. I mean, you started him against Vanderbilt's defense. Whose defense was better going into this game? Vanderbilt's or Georgia's? It was Vanderbilt's. Vanderbilt had the leading tackler in the SEC. And yet, You don't hold Georgia accountable with your running quarterback. You don't even put him out there for a series. And your guy is hurt the whole time. Now, it came out later that Sean was not exactly forthcoming about how hurt he was and and how things were going. But, I mean, you got to see that the kid's not throwing well. Am I right? I mean, he was off the entire night.
Yeah, I mean,
balls were off,
it's
and
a little,
then receivers couldn't catch.
That whole situation is a little off. I mean, obviously Sean should disclose. I mean, look, you admire and you like toughness, tenacity, and he certainly projects that, exudes that. But you've got to also be honest with yourself.
And give your team the best chance to win.
Absolutely.
If you're playing gimpy,
but
that's not the best
Of course,
chance.
now this is contradicted by a few players who said that Sean took part in first-team drills during practice week.
Yeah, and that's another thing.
But did he take any throws?
There's constant.
I think more so with Gus and the coaching staff, it's more of a chess game in which you don't want to reveal too much to the other team.
Don't show your hand, I get it.
That's exactly why they didn't say anything about Cameron Petway until, an hour before kickoff. And he was in sweatpants. And that's when you found out that he did travel.
And after the game, he's week to week. Did you notice that?
I noticed
During the week, he was day to day.
He won't play
week
this
to
week. He won't play
No,
this week.
Of course not.
But you would have to think that if your quarterback hasn't taken any throws in practice because you're trying to save his arm, that already to me implies that you know that could be a fairly serious thing. He hadn't gotten better in a couple weeks. But the fact that you don't have a backup plan in which John Franklin is a part of that,
there's no excuse for that.
I just I can't see that. I don't get paid to do it, but I still don't see how, if you know that your quarterback is like that you don't have that backup plan in place. And the way he was playing there in the second half, how that wasn't evident. I don't, maybe they see something else. I didn't get to talk to him on the sidelines like they did, but still, I mean, kind of common sense.
You got to know your team.
Common
man.
sense seems like
if two guys up on the roof of the press box can tell, you can tell on the sideline. Just
a couple fanboys, but
No. All right. We got to take a break. Everybody, stay tuned. We'll be right back with more college football reaction, playoff rankings, and of course, we'll look forward to next week as well. So stay tuned. More around the corner.
Head to Carl Cannon. Their dream team makes it real easy to do business.
This is Tyler Herron at Carl Cannon Chevrolet, Buick, Cadillac, and GMC. Did you see behind me, I got one of our Z71 Chevrolet Silverados. We have many like it. This is actually a Tuscany truck. It has a lift kit and the aftermarket wheels and tires. We are a Tuscany dealer. Come down and see us in Jasper, Alabama, and Carl Cannon Boulevard off exit 65, or you can give us a call at 205-384-5561.
Other dealers can't? Cannon can.
Carl Cannon, Chevy Buick GMC Cadillac in Jasper.
Every day, students at Bevel State Community College tell their own stories. They tell them through the accomplishments they achieve, the choices they make for career success, and through recommendations they share with friends. With 5 locations serving 7 counties and tuition lower than other colleges, now is the time to start writing your own success story. Your story starts at Bevel State.
Ready to Work Trucks in Summerton is just that. The place to go from anywhere in the country to find good used trucks for any need. Brian and Robert Harlan and their staff will assist you with financing and delivery. Brian is a 3-time National Truck Salesman of the Year and a 5-time Kenworth Walk-Around Champion with 30 years experience. Ready to Work Trucks, more than just a slogan, a business guarantee.
When you buy a truck from Ready to Work Trucks, everything works. All lights, all gauges, all switches, brakes are good. You can go anywhere in the country or on the internet and you can buy you a used truck and it's ready for you to go home and work on it. Or you can come to Ready to Work Trucks, where everything on our trucks work. And the horn blows, the brakes work, the tires are good, the kingpins are good. Hey, come visit us on Old 78 Highway in Summerton, Alabama, small town, big business. Come see us. we'll see that Ready to Work Trucks is more than our slogan, it's our business guarantee.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Daniel Vest. That is
Seth
Seth
Hagen.
Hagen.
What's up, everybody? We are going through basically everything that happened over the weekend, college, pro, whatever is on your mind. You can hit us up here in the ACN studios, 1-888-242-8517 to get on the phone lines with us. But we're just going to keep on moving on through this college football week. It was a weekend full of upsets, especially in the top 10, and especially where the playoff rankings are concerned. We already just got done talking about Auburn's upset. Basically renders the Iron Bowl meaningless in terms of the actual future of the SEC West and who will go to Atlanta. But Pittsburgh climbing the ladder in Clemson to win 43-42 in an absolute thriller of a game. Michigan and Iowa in the exact opposite, 14-13 in that one, a clunker of a game that Michigan just lost an ugly one, and it raises questions about their offense. Additionally, we find out that their starting quarterback, can't remember his first name, but his last name is Spate, and he is now out for the season with a broken collarbone. So it seems like the floodgates are just opening completely for an Alabama-Ohio State rematch. It's almost like it's already destined to happen. Washington also losing over the weekend to USC, being held to just 13 points, easily their lowest output of the year. I mean, the only team that had held them even close to that was Utah at 31. So, I mean, just not even close. And now USC is just on fire. Absolutely heating up at the perfect time to save Coach Clay Helton's job. And they've now won 5 in a row heading into their final couple of weeks against UCLA and Notre Dame. What do you think about Washington? Do they deserve to still be in that top 4 when the rankings come out tomorrow night?
I don't know. Right now it's a little subjective.
Yeah.
Anything that comes out, and by the way, I think tomorrow might be the most watched results show.
Oh yeah. You gotta find out.
Yeah. So, but look, whether or not they're in there right now, they still have to play Washington State, who is undefeated in ACC play. Mm-hmm. That could have some weight. So some things could happen. Ohio State still has to play Michigan State and Michigan, or Rutgers and Michigan.
Rutgers
Michigan
high.
still has to play Indiana and Ohio State, and also who is that third place in the Big Ten? I'm just drawing a blank on it right now. I don't know why. But
It tends
anyways,
to happen when you're talking
does.
about the Big Ten.
It
Lots
does.
of blanks.
But either way, when you look at it the rest of the way, some of these teams could lose out. They've conceivably so. Louisville, who is going to be ranked, could possibly be ranked in the top 4 tomorrow. In the AP, they're in the top 4. I think they're number 3.
Yeah, number 3.
They still have to play, obviously, Kentucky, but they have one game they still have to play in conference. So there's a chance for a game there. I believe they play Wake Forest, if I'm not mistaken.
It'll be interesting to see. All right, we've got somebody on the line. Caller, you're live on the sidelines. What's on your mind?
Good evening, gentlemen.
How's it going, East Coast Joe? How you doing?
We're doing fine. Daniel, the answer to your trivia question is Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, thank you. Wisconsin on the other side could pose a threat to them as well.
Yeah.
2 loss in the Big
Yeah,
Ten.
and they've got a top-notch defense, and it seems like they found their offense against Illinois, albeit it is Illinois. But I could definitely see it. It just seems like the Big Ten is just there's a lot of parity now. I thought the Michigan was really further above everybody else. This past weekend's loss really surprised me. I couldn't believe that Michigan lost that game in embarrassing fashion, only scoring 13 points. Washington only scoring 13. Really surprising. So So what was your biggest takeaway of the weekend?
Well, two things, and going to concentrate on Auburn, of course.
Uh-huh.
Sean White is only one of the people who is at fault here. He didn't let his coaches know. His coaches probably should have known better, but also people haven't brought up the idea of the training staff. If a person has not been throwing for 2 weeks, and he's asked to start a game, it seems like all eyes, including those of Dr. James Andrews, should be focused intently on the quarterback and seeing how he does his first few series. It was evident that Sean wasn't playing that well, or his shoulder wasn't 100%, but also evidently during the game he tweaked it and it got worse. And to me, that's a huge matter for a training staff to catch him at every opportunity, either ask him to go through particular rehab little exercises just to see. To me, that there's a lot of fault to be passed around, but to me, whether it's Jeremy Johnson or whether it's JF3, just about anybody, I think, could have at least led Auburn to one touchdown drive, just one.
Or a couple of field goals. I mean,
Well, a couple field goals would have tied it, sure.
Yeah, I mean, like, you got 5 straight series where you do nothing. You're telling me that Franklin and Johnson couldn't have gotten them 30 yards each? Something. I mean, you're not even giving yourself a chance to win if you're Gus. I mean, it's stupid, and goes back to the point I was saying before. It's like, how do you not see that he's struggling? That pick 6 was about as ugly a duck as it gets. I mean, that duck was black, blue, and red all over. It was disgusting. And
it was well covered, and there's it was a bad read on Sean's part.
That too, but I mean, he's not even able to be accurate out there, and so
if you don't see that, then he's the conference's leader in pass efficiency. And the other, real quick.
Right, and so up to that point, he's what, like 4 of 14? So you continue to go with him. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's like, do you even know your team at this point? You got to do something. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, 5 straight 3-and-outs is beyond.
It would be a nice way to put a little salve on it for this weekend. This is just my own personal opinion, but
sure.
My coach is a head coach, and the end of the year was coming up. I would start all of my seniors on senior day. Mm-hmm. And that would give an opportunity for Sean and Cam and others to rest themselves. KJ, I think the seniors probably by themselves could beat A&M, that is Alabama A&M, hopefully by 3 or 4 touchdowns. So let them play and do what I did, which was to let them play until they gave you a reason to take them out.
I got you.
Well, I agree, and I think that's what you're going to see. Obviously, you're going to see Jeremy Johnson start, and you're going to get a whole bunch of seniors in there that's going to play that game. Anybody who can sit will sit. I think that's the game plan right now. I think that's pretty obvious. But when you think things are pretty obvious, you get the script flipped on you. But the other team I was trying to think of, East Coast Joe, is Penn State. Penn State could end up throwing a wrench in this whole thing. Tied for first in the Big Ten.
That's the Big Ten East?
The Big Ten East, correct.
You're right, yeah, okay. Well, I mean, hats off to James Franklin. Glad that he's began to kind of turn it around. He was so good and effective at Vanderbilt, and I guess what he's preaching now is starting to take hold. And I like that because I just can't stand what I grew up with, which was Ohio State and Michigan, or Michigan and Ohio State, and Ohio State and Michigan. There never was anybody else, and it really got kind of boring. And just to me, that's an indicator that you really can't rank teams from conferences where they're so far above the others that you can't assume that they're really that good. Mm-hmm. Now you could say the same thing this year about Alabama. But I really think the SEC across the board and top to bottom is still the strongest conference in the United States.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. There's and bowl season as usual will meet that out. I believe last year was just a fluke. We always get those kind of things. But we're getting a few more calls, so we got to let you go, man. We'll holler at you next week, though.
Have a great day, guys.
Thank you, Joe. Have a good one.
Okay. Okay.
All right, bye-bye.
All right. Y'all can call the phone lines just like East Coast did. 1-888-242-8517, the number to call. Make sure y'all stay on them phone lines because we'll keep them open for you. The rest of the show will go until 8 o'clock tonight. But let's keep on working our way through these games. There's a lot. There's a whole bunch of stuff, but we got to get through it. I don't know, next week there's a lot of cupcakes, so I'm not really caring too much about next week. We do have our main matchups for once we do not have Alabama or Auburn. Alabama will take on the Chattanooga Mocs. And Auburn, of course, mentioned previously, will take on A&M from up in Huntsville, and that's cool. So let's continue taking calls. Caller, you're live on the sidelines. What's on your mind?
It's Bama Brent.
Bama Brent, what's going on, my man?
Brent.
And Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, buddy.
Yeah.
Roll Tide.
Y'all are sitting about as pretty as you can sit right now. I don't think it's ever been this much of a runaway for one of Saban's years.
To take on the Denver Broncos, Carolina Panthers. I'm just kidding. Anyways,
I give you the Browns. I really think Alabama's defense could shut down Cleveland's offense. Now that said, Cleveland's defense would completely annihilate Alabama's offense and would have multiple sacks, and Jalen Hurts might get hurt for real. Quit messing around, Dan. Jeez, but this is all I'm saying. I mean, it just seems like such a runaway, and I mean, it seems like we are hurtling towards what everybody really wanted in the first place, which was an Alabama-Ohio State rematch. What do you think about that?
I'd love that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'd love that. That'd be great.
Why wouldn't you? I mean, it's not like we need
have another Urban Meyer.
Yeah, Nick Saban matchup is like, we've been missing that for like a year.
Ohio State, I'm anti-Urban Meyer.
I know. Yeah.
That
Seems
man.
to be the common theme.
Yeah.
In the last
hey,
decade,
do we want a good championship game or not? Like
in the last decade, who's won more national championships than Urban Meyer and Nick Saban? No one.
No one.
That would have been nice if Auburn would have actually beaten Georgia, put them in the number 4 ranking.
Yeah, they'd be up there.
7 titles between those two guys in the last 10 years. They have
literally
accounted for 7.
Still going to be a great Iron Bowl.
It's still going to be a good Iron Bowl. Although I think
Auburn
if Sean White is out for that game,
it's like
watch
how
out.
could Auburn?
You may as well trot Jeremy Johnson out there. I mean, he didn't score a whole lot of points last year, but
he didn't turn the ball over.
Wasn't Nick Marshall 2014.
I mean, Sean is he's a shell of himself right now. Poor guy. He's out there trying to throw with his gimpy shoulder. Last year he was throwing with the gimpy knee that he couldn't step into.
Bama Brent, who would you be most scared of facing in the playoff, whether it be an opening round game or the championship game? Regardless, who?
Honestly, probably Clemson. I would not really want to play them right now.
Yeah.
Of course.
Great wide receivers. Probably the best.
I don't know. How's Iowa's game been?
I
was nowhere near it. But
no. Iowa just beat Michigan, which kind of
upset them was pretty impressive.
Would you rather face someone like how do you feel about Louisville? You feel pretty confident you'd be able to Alabama would be able to shut down Louisville's attack and keep them out of the end zone? Heck,
every time I go back to it, it's that hurry-up offense.
Yeah.
Really struggled against Oklahoma during that bowl game.
Sure. And Auburn and A&M.
That was
Ohio State.
But, yeah, I mean, you would think. But with Louisville, I think, Wake Forest was able to hold them, to 3 points for better of 3 quarters. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, so ideally you'd like Ohio State, but I guess Clemson, you say you feel would.
I think Deshaun Watson's just a phenomenal quarterback.
Okay.
He's just doing great. But anyways, I'm going to let y'all go. I just want to say also, been married 6 months.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
Best time of my life.
Yep. Yep.
Congratulations,
Congratulations,
man.
buddy.
Let's go with
That's,
another 6 more. Let's make it 12.
Yeah.
And we're going to make it 1 million more.
Let's do
million
it.
mo.
Let's do it. I was taking baby steps. We
Yeah.
can go long. We can
There
go
you
long
go.
term if you want.
Hey,
All
roll
right.
tide.
Congrats to you and Mrs. Bama Brent.
We'll see you in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah. Good job, buddy.
Later, buddy.
Have a good one.
All right. If y'all want to get on the phone just like Bama Brent, it's real easy. 1-888-242-8517 to get on the phone lines with us.
We want to know what you think.
Yeah, we do. We do. But first, we got to pay some bills. So everybody stick around. More on the sidelines right now.
Brought to you by
Or, like,
Hover
next.
Helmets.
Yeah.
Head to Carl Cannon. Their dream team makes it real easy to do business.
Here at Carl Cannon Chevrolet, we offer a wide variety of vehicles. Trucks is one of our main things that we have here. We offer them that can be dinghy-towed, flat-towed, and we also have vehicles that can tow between 3,500 pounds all the way to 17,500 pounds. So if you need a vehicle that can just take you to church on Sundays or pull the load on Mondays, we've got them all right here for you, Carl Cannon. Been here for 50 years. Come see us in Jasper.
Other dealers can't? Cannon can.
Carl Cannon, Chevy Buick GMC Cadillac in Jasper.
Every day, students at Bevel State Community College tell their own stories. They tell them through the accomplishments they achieve, the choices they make for career success, and through recommendations they share with friends. With 5 locations serving 7 counties and tuition lower than 4-year colleges, now is the time to start writing your own success story. Your story starts at Bevel State.
From Mobile to Florence, from Auburn to Tuscaloosa, for all your commercial or private paving needs, is Alabama's premier surfacing company. 20 years experience has the equipment and personnel to handle any job anywhere in the state of Alabama. Call 205-648-3117.
You're going to get slaughtered. Again. It's going to be amazing. Hey, everybody.
Did they hear that?
Let me tell you something.
I don't know.
Probably not. Probably not. We're going to keep that on the low. Welcome back, everybody, to On the Sidelines. Daniel Vess alongside myself. I am Seth Hagen, and I'm your host. Thank you. Thank you. Where's my leaf and my grapes? Anyway, thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, that's a great leaf.
Yeah. Brought to you by Hover Helmets.
Yeah. Make sure y'all check those out because, I mean, these really are like the coolest accessory for like your man cave, your desk at work, the kitchen. Even the wife likes something like this. I mean, these are very nice decorative pieces. And hey, what season are we right around the corner from? Have a holly jolly Christmas. Get yourself a hover helmet now. All right. It also makes a great
Seth Hagen
gift.
writing
Needless to
jingles right now.
Yeah.
Call him, 888-242-8522.
Album forthcoming on that one. Yeah, make sure y'all hit the lines, 888-242-8517 to get your thoughts in. Last half hour of the show. Boy, it looks like the top 4 can really only come from a couple of ways right here. I mean, I could see Wisconsin getting in there somehow. I was blown away that Washington dropped below Wisconsin. Wisconsin's 2 losses being to Michigan and to Ohio State. I have to think that that's the only reason why you would do that. But Washington losing to a USC team that was voted 15th this week by the AP and number 19 by the coaches poll. So I'm not really sure why that one loss was just so mind-blowing. Clemson's loss, I feel, is worse comparatively. I mean, you look at should have lost to NC State, should have lost, and now you did lose to a Pitt team that had lost 3 games, and I don't know. I just don't feel like that's fair. I mean, Washington has been beating the dog out of teams, and it's clear that USC is a team that has really come into its own and is coming through on that promise that they were supposed to deliver against Alabama. Anyway, moving on, the college football playoff continues. I'll be fine. You know, we're getting into those blistery weather fall months.
What are you playing the?
Hey, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't even know what I was.
Put your hands down, Ricky Bobby.
Yeah.
He's playing
that
the
was like
jazz
the wind.
flute.
I don't know what I was. Maybe I was going with
Yeah,
the wind.
Jethro
Anyway.
Tull. Jethro Tull.
Anyway. But.
Yeah, I see possibly. I mean, if the AP is any indication, Ohio State moves in, Louisville moves in. I mean, if you go by, if you lose,
the first
you go
two
back.
out are basically now replace everybody.
So really, I mean, at this point, the way it did work with the BCS and why it's so good that we now have this playoff and we have a human committee deciding who's going to play in the 14 playoff at the end of the year instead of rankings in which you kind of jockey yourself into position, and that means you don't win late. If you do, you lose. When you lose, you don't lose late. You lose early, so you can jockey yourself back into position at the end of the year. But that's not necessarily the same with this committee, and which I love is in this process. And I think you're going to see, this is such a huge thing. I mean, 3 of your top 4 lost, 5 of your top 10
First time
lost.
in 30 plus years.
That's
amazing.
Monumental. So this is going to be a big day tomorrow. And this is not going to be the end of it, though, because we have a lot of games to be played out. These conference championships, especially in the Big Ten. Big Ten is going to have 3 players in the top 10 easily. You're going to have Michigan, you're going to have Ohio State, and you're going to have Penn State. You may have Wisconsin in there in the top 10. That's debatable. I doubt it, but it's debatable. But most definitely those 3 teams I mentioned, and by the way, all 3 of those teams come out of the Eastern Division. So is the Big Ten as top heavy as the Big Ten East, as top heavy as the SEC West? Yeah. You could make the argument for that right now, especially with the way Penn State is playing. But so you're going to have some jumbling up there. But I think you'll definitely see Ohio State. You may see Clemson stay in there. But man, it's going to be there's so much up in the air right now when it comes to that. But I think if you just move in the direction, if you lose, you get knocked out, and the 2 teams that haven't lost or who didn't lose last week and who are in prime position to just move up by virtue of that would be Louisville and Ohio State.
What in the world would it take for Oklahoma or West Virginia to get into this thing? I mean, nightmare scenario. What are we talking about? Like everybody loses out? Like that's the only way? I feel like it is that way. And sorry, Big 12 fans. I mean, you've kind of played yourself out of position. One, obviously, numero uno. You don't have a championship game. You're not adding teams in the offseason, which means you're going to continue to not get one, which means you're going to continue to get shut out of this thing.
Well, I think that, first of all, I think like last week or a couple of weeks ago, you could have ruled out the Big 12.
Yeah, I think we did on this show, but
arguably,
I like to bring it up.
You could have earlier in the year. They almost play themselves out of that role, especially being that they don't have a conference championship. That showed its face 2 years ago. But Oklahoma with 2 losses on the year, they're undefeated in Big 12. Depending on what the teams in front of them do, they need some help. They need some help really bad because they have 2 non-conference losses that is really going to hurt them. So they need some help from the people above them. They need them to lose. And they need them to lose once, maybe twice. But there's so many teams now that have either 1 loss or 2 losses, and that's where Oklahoma falls. Now, West Virginia has 1 loss on the year, and they're in 3rd place in the Big 12 right now. They have 1 loss, and that's also in conference. But the good thing about that, Oklahoma plays at West Virginia this weekend, 7
o'clock.
The
Big 12 somehow is able to, every year, at least the playoff and last year the BCS has been in effect, they've been able to schedule their best games for late in November, primetime spots that was supposed to position them. But, I mean, the whole point of this thing is that you've got to have an undisputed champion, and with 2-loss Oklahoma being your best bet, yeesh. It's just not the best bell you could have brought to the ball is all I'm saying.
Well, I mean, if West Virginia ends up beating Oklahoma this weekend and then they end up winning against Iowa State and end up winning against Baylor, then they will be a 1-loss Big 12 champion. So that could carry some weight. I doubt it. But it depends. It depends on how much conference titles will influence the committee, because you're going to have a few scenarios in which Big Ten teams could be left out who could have a legitimate claim. Let's say Michigan ends up beating Ohio State, or vice versa, because Penn State could be jockeying in there because Penn State beat Ohio State, lost to Michigan. But it's going to be really crazy, and I think Wisconsin will be in that top 4 or at least top 10, as they were in number 7 last week. So, and they keep doing what they do.
They'll definitely be in there, and they honestly control their own destiny. I mean, they're going to play that champion that comes out of the East, and whoever wins. And we both know that matchups within at least the regular season, this can get a bit tricky in college football. Things can change in an instant. By the way, wanted to shout out the men of Troy, who are ranked in the top 25 of the AP for the first time in a long time. I don't know if it's ever happened.
Another thing.
Number 25, 8-1, undefeated in the Sun Belt. That one loss
to Clemson.
To number 5 Clemson.
In a close game as well.
Yeah, a game that they
led
debatably should have won.
They led at a couple points. There was
a
few game or lead changes. But another thing about that is for the first time, 3 teams from the state of Alabama are ranked in the top 25. That has never happened.
Wow.
UAB, when they were ranked, which hasn't been that much, Auburn or Alabama were not. One of those I can't remember.
Wow.
But this is the first time all 3 teams, or 3 teams from the state have been ranked in the top 25.
Hey, we
can you think of any other
Let's go for 4 next year, baby.
Can you think of any other states that has occurred? I would think Texas, Florida, California.
Texas, Florida, California.
That would be it, right?
I mean, I can't think of anybody else that could fit that many in where football was that prominent, maybe in basketball or something like that. But, yeah, certainly. So a lot of history being made this season. I mean, it's really cool to see that. So, again, shout out to Troy. Great season you guys are having.
Troy Trojans?
I did want to, man, I was almost going to be able to be there on Thursday for their game against Arkansas State, where they can basically seal the deal as far as the Sun Belt is concerned. But hope they do well. Those guys are representing us well. All right, one last segment of the show to go. Make sure you get your phone calls in. Last 15 minutes to do so. We're up against the clock, so everybody stay tuned. Number 888-242-8517, the number to call. Everybody, we'll be right back in just a few.
Head to Carl Cannon. Their dream team makes it real easy to do business.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Carl Cannon Buick Cadillac GMC Chevrolet. My name is Joshua Salter, and would love to take this opportunity to show you the new 2016 Cadillac SRX. We've got some great promotions going on right now. Would love to help you get into a new car today. If you have any questions, please give us a call at 384-5561 or on my cell at 205-300-8364. Stop out and see us.
Other dealers can't? Cannon can.
Carl Cannon, Chevy Buick GMC Cadillac in Jasper.
Every day, students at Bevel State Community College tell their own stories. They tell them through the accomplishments they achieve, the choices they make for career success, and through recommendations they share with friends. With 5 locations serving 7 counties and tuition lower than 4-year colleges, now is the time to start writing your own success story. Your story starts at Bevel State.
Ready to Work Trucks in Summerton is just that. The place to go from anywhere in the country to find good used trucks for any need. Brian and Robert Harlan and their staff will assist you with financing and delivery. Brian is a 3-time National Truck Salesman of the Year and a 5-time Kenworth Walk-Around Champion with 30 years experience. Ready to Work Trucks, more than just a slogan, a business guarantee.
When you buy a truck from Ready to Work Trucks, everything works. All lights, all gauges, all switches, brakes are good. You can go anywhere in the country or on the internet and you can buy you a used truck and it's ready for you to go home and work on it. Or you can come to Ready to Work Trucks, where everything on our trucks works and the horn blows, the brakes work, the tires are good, the kingpins are good. Hey, come visit us on Old 78 Highway in Summerton, Alabama. Small town, big business. Come see us. We'll see that Ready to Work Trucks is more than our slogan. It's our business guarantee.
What's up, everybody? Last segment of On the Sidelines. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Make sure you hit us up on Facebook. Give that page a like, On the Sidelines. You can also hit me up and Daniel Vest here to my left as well.
You can. True story.
Yeah, we haven't reached like the 5,000 friend limit yet. Not sure I'll ever get there. I don't think I want to get there. That's a few too many people in my feed.
I don't believe that.
I really don't want to do it.
Yeah, you do.
I'm not a fan. However, on Twitter you can reach me, and that's cool. I'll take all the followers I can get from there. You can reach me at sh_. Pardon me, it's OTS_Hagen. I've changed it like 5,000 times.
The spread,
yeah, it was the spread a while, and
what was it before? What was it before you got into the biz, man?
It was your sports check.
That's great.
Yeah, I've never had a Twitter not associated with the show that I've been doing.
You need to.
It just tells you that I don't tweet that often. I send my Facebook statuses to my tweets, and so they end up being my tweets. But like you can't see all of them.
You know what we need to do?
They cut them off.
You need to bring back your sports check and run it as a segment on here. Folks, if you have not seen this man do sports check, my favorite is what's his name with the Nationals running into the fence?
Oh, Bryce Harper.
And you were like talking about the walls or something like that.
Yeah, he was always scared of the wall.
And then the lady, the Arkansas Razorback fan lady, who sang, "Come on, Razorbacks," and then you were like,
she was singing like Celine Dion or something like that.
Go to YouTube.
Man.
Do yourself a favor. Go to YouTube. Type in "sports check," one word, and enjoy. I mean,
I got like 80 videos. You can literally waste your entire evening and weekend on.
If you've watched everything on Netflix, go to YouTube. Look up sports check.
I would say that some of my stuff is better than Netflix. There's some real garbage on there.
That's a docuseries.
Definitely better than Hulu movies. Anyway.
But yeah, most definitely. And one of your last ones that you did was March Madness, and you lit your tournament bracket.
Yeah, I lit my tournament bracket on fire.
That was classic, man.
I had to do that.
We're bringing it back. We're bringing it back.
All right. We'll think about it.
So yeah, but we have some you have some big games coming up this weekend. Not really.
I mean, there's
LSU and Florida.
There's some
Tell me, do you think Florida is better off playing LSU this weekend versus back when they could have played it back in October when it was delayed by Hurricane Matthew? I mean, what are your thoughts there on that? I think LSU, and could Leonard Fournette be 100% and ready to go, get the start against Florida? I mean, he's got a very...
he looked great, and Geis looked great against Arkansas this past weekend. So I think they're fine. I would expect them, honestly, to win this game.
Very surprising. Both
Austin Appleby is not going to be the guy that beats that LSU secondary. I'm sorry.
And, that's really interesting. LSU and Alabama, both teams that we mentioned last week as could potentially have a letdown after such a tough and physical game against each other the week before. But Arkansas or LSU taking care of business. I mean, it really controlled that game most of the, from the outset.
Yeah, I mean,
and Alabama, the same thing.
Unlike the last few years, Arkansas just cannot stop the run for whatever reason. They're dropping the ball and giving up a large amount of runs to everybody. Actually, in our rankings that we'll get into in just a little bit, Arkansas is third in the SEC overall in our analytic power rankings. Yes, being passed by teams such as South Carolina and Mississippi State and Missouri. So that's just what the numbers are saying. So we actually we continue to have good weeks with these analytic power rankings. We put those out on the Facebook page so y'all can check those out. But about this week, we do have Florida LSU. LSU an early 13.5 3.5-point favorite. Wow. Boy, that's bulletin board material for the boys from Gainesville. That's wow. That's a lot of points.
I would say it's pretty accurate, but then again, Auburn was favored by 10 over Georgia.
Right.
So you can never tell. But, yeah, I would lean LSU here. I mean, truly.
Yeah. And Tennessee plays Missouri now. This is what makes the Florida-LSU game so big. If Florida loses that game, that gives Florida their oh-so-crucial third SEC league loss, which would tie them with Tennessee. And guess who's right back in the SEC championship? Old Butchie boy.
I'd rather have.
Somehow, Butch Jones is able to sneak in the back door of Atlanta if all he has to do is beat Missouri and then beat the team that just lost to Missouri, which is Vanderbilt, which I can't believe. After almost pulling the upset in Jordan there, they lay an egg at Mizzou. I mean, I guess that was just their best. That was their best shot. People were jumping all over Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt plus 3.5. Everybody was jumping on that in the upset. Well, they ended up losing by 9. So didn't even cover the spread, much less losing the game. And that's just amazing. But, yeah, now Tennessee can get back in the SEC championship. What is going on? I mean, do we really want to see an Alabama-Tennessee rematch? I mean, really? I mean, Tennessee's down to like third stringers and walk-ons and
at the beginning of the year,
Scotch tape.
At the beginning of the year, and their fans are going to need the safety pin that's going around on social media.
Right.
But
I feel for you.
But
I understand. You can talk to me.
But I think at the beginning of the year, this is what we anticipated anyway. Of course.
Yeah, isn't that funny? This is where we thought we would be.
Mm-hmm. But we thought Tennessee would be much, much better. And we didn't think Tennessee would be Jalen Hurd less, and with all the injuries that they've had to endure. But most certainly, this is what we thought would happen. But my goodness, Alabama is poised to go right back to the national championship or right back to the playoff at least. And the best thing for other teams that the other teams can hope for is that Auburn dings them up in the Iron Bowl, and then Tennessee somehow pulls out some magic and dings them up in the SEC championship game.
Vandy, man, they're killing me right now because before the season started, I picked them to get to a bowl game. I really thought the schedule was favorable, but they have just lost games that you just cannot lose. I mean, they lost to Kentucky. You lost to South Carolina in the home opener, which was inexcusable. It really was. I mean, South Carolina's offense has been so bad that they've literally put a high school senior. Shout out to Jake Bentley from Opelika, local guy, but that just lets you know how bad it's getting there in South Carolina as far as the quarterback situation. Now, Vanderbilt faced with the prospect of having to beat Ole Miss and Tennessee, likely will be 2-score underdogs in this game. So, man, I hate that for them, but I mean, they did it to themselves. What are you going to do? You can't feel bad for them. I mean, you had your chances and you just kind of screwed up. Louisville, Houston on my birthday, Thursday. Woo! By the way, I'm turning 30.
Dirty 30.
What's up, ladies?
Dirty 30.
Yeah.
No more excuses now.
Yeah, no more excuses.
Got to get paid.
You got to get paid. Yeah, got to do that. All right, let's see. I mean, really not too much else going on. Ohio State, Michigan State is going to be a complete wash. Ohio State's going to win big there. Oklahoma State, TCU, kind of, sort of.
Meh.
But TCU, get this, at home is favored by 4 against a top 15 team in Oklahoma State, and TCU's not even bowl eligible yet.
Yeah,
what is going on there?
Oklahoma State is still a wishy-washy team, not very strong at all, and I think the voters know that. Yeah. But and Vegas obviously
knows that.
But another game I'm really looking at. There's 2 games that I'm really looking at besides LSU, Florida, just because it's SEC. But outside of the SEC, big games. Washington State, can they stay undefeated in ACC play at Colorado?
Going to
Colorado, a 4-point favorite there.
Other than Florida, LSU, I'd say that's the game of the week.
And I will say this also, with the way Michigan just played against Iowa, and their offense kind of shut down in that game. Indiana at Michigan could be a track meet. I'm just saying the over-under is 53. I would say take that.
Ooh.
But Indiana can score some points.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So Indiana at Michigan at 2:30. Both that game and the Washington State game at 2:30.
Yeah,
so that's what I'm looking at.
Michigan is going to bounce back and want to put a lot of points.
They're going to want to.
Yeah,
and another big game is Oklahoma at West Virginia.
I would take Michigan as many points as they put on that spread. I'd take every single one of them. I'd lay every single one.
And Michigan a 23-point favorite right now. Another game I'm really looking at is Oklahoma at West Virginia. The Sooners a 3-point favorite.
Huge. The big. I mean, that's the Big 12 championship right there.
Yeah. Yes.
That's what we're looking at. So whoever comes out of that, they are the last great hope for the Big 12. And honestly, if you're a Big 12 fan, you might want to root for West Virginia. Just saying. I think 9-1 versus 9-2. It's just we're getting down to the nitty gritty here, and I mean 1 or 2 losses that decides a lot. Mississippi State, Arkansas. At Mississippi State laying a 1.5 points.
Oh, it's going to be a
Are you
snoozer.
surprised that Arkansas is not favored in this game?
I am very surprised.
Are they not better than Mississippi State? I mean,
I would think so. I mean, Mississippi State.
I'm taking the over, baby.
I think the
flying
only
over the over.
only reason Mississippi State getting love here is because of Dan Mullen and their win over A&M, which now looks even not. Now it's lost some of its luster. That A&M lost to Ole Miss at home to an Ole Miss team
in the battle of the future quarterbacks
that had never started a game ever, and so that win looks less and less now attractive. So I don't know where all this fanfare is coming with Mississippi State. They're terrible. It's a horrible year for them. No disrespect to the Bulldogs, and I know a few fans of the Bulldogs, but I am really surprised. I mean, unless Arkansas is dealing with some injuries that I'm just not aware of presently, I would say take Arkansas. My goodness.
I don't think it's really that close, honestly. I think Arkansas could pull away and win by 10 or 14 points in that one. We're just going to hold that one for the rest of the show. All right, Florida, LSU. Let's look at our analytic rankings. Florida sitting at number 3 in our rankings versus LSU ranked number 5. Now, Florida on the road and LSU within a point of Florida in the rankings. We're talking about like 0.94. So I'm calling for the LSU win at home against Florida. I believe I said that earlier, but the numbers agree with me, and that just makes me even more confident in the pick. LSU, though, laying 13.5, I'd probably go Florida in that direction. I'm thinking this could be a really ugly noon game.
And aren't most
I don't think there's
games.
going to be many points scored. It's
No,
going to be a great
tend to
run
agree with you.
defense against another great run defense. Both quarterbacks
Winning
are
team.
woefully under. They're just overwhelmed.
I can see the winning team with 21 points.
Certainly.
Definitely.
All right. Missouri.
The numbers don't lie.
Ranked 8.21, Tennessee 7.14. They are within a point. However, Tennessee is at home, so I'm going to call. And I mean, Tennessee is going to be very, very motivated to win this game and try to get into the SEC championship to try to exact some sort of revenge on the Tide. Arkansas, Mississippi State. Arkansas, like I said, ranked lower than Mississippi State in the rankings, almost by a full point. We're talking 0.8. It's at Mississippi State as well. So maybe there's something to that. All right, Ole Miss Vanderbilt, last game. Ole Miss at 8.42, Vanderbilt at 9.35. However, major injury to Chad Kelly, will not be playing. Vanderbilt gets Ole Miss at home, the biggest thing right here.
And, the defensive wizard there could throw some things on that quarterback. So
sure.
It could be a good weekend. Hey, Alakai. Bye, Alakai.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, we're on tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. So don't forget, use the game. Don't let the game use you.
Don't do it.
No, it wasn't. Shut your damn mouth.
Shut your damn mouth. You know what he had?